The first tarantula in this specific series is going to be the Tliltocatl albopilosus. Hello and welcome back to Bug Realms. On this channel we like to discuss all things creepy crawly, so if that's something that interests you, please consider subscribing to the channel. So, as usual with this series, we start off with the positives of keeping the Tliltocatl albopilosus. So here's my personal positive things about keeping them. Well, I actually own two, both around the sub-adult size. Both are true curly hairs, so they are the Nicaraguan form, not the, is it Horundus? I always get that wrong. The hobby form. Mine are true forms. We're not going to go into the details of each, that's not what this video is about. One of them was a gift as a sling from my good friend David Dance years ago. Absolutely years ago. And I have kept that sling and I have loved that tarantula ever since. It has some sentimental value to me. The second curly hair that I got, curly hair being their common name, was actually from a GIMP mystery box not so long ago. So if you've actually watched that GIMP mystery box video, you would see that tarantula, and I actually have some feeding footage here for you to look at. This is such a disabled tarantula, I feel so bad for it. It didn't just have a missing leg. Some of its legs are, you can see, have regrown through molts, but they are not fully developed yet. This is the most crippled, just derpy looking tarantula I have ever owned. And you know what? When I saw that I got a second albopilosus, I was like, it's going in the sell pile. I don't want another curly hair. My one from David Dance meant a lot to me. Why would I want another one? It's going to go in a sell pile. Do you know what? I've fallen in love with this crippled tarantula with the not so very many full limbs. It's still got a great feeding response. It walks around like a fool, and it's adorable. I feel like it's like you're nurturing it back, and you know, it's a sub-adult stage now, so its next molt, it's probably still not going to be back to a perfect tarantula in maturity, and it's going to take a long time before it will then molt again. Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, it's an unsexed tarantula. I'm going to guess that it's probably a female, but I'm not 100% sure. But I fell in love with it. So the positives are that they're so easy to fall in love with, these tarantulas, and it could be that, yeah, I've got a crippled one and I've got one for sentimental reasons off a good friend of mine. But again, this video is about my personal positives of keeping them, and they really are the main points for me. More positives in a general note: they are great eaters. Both of my specimens are great eaters. My non-crippled one used to actually jump from the top of the cork bark to the bottom to grab its prey sometimes when it was a bit smaller and the cork bark was larger for it to do that. They're both out all the time, so I get to appreciate and look at them both all the time. They're never really hidden away. They rarely use their hides. They are very simple to look after. Some substrate, a hide, a water dish, and you're good to go with this species. Mine don't really burrow. They've done a bit of digging, but not a lot of digging. They're just a really nice, easy tarantula species. Now, a lot of people say they're good for beginners, which I agree with, but some people's points are the fact that they are docile and calm. I don't think my two, either of them, are particularly docile and calm. I certainly wouldn't feel comfortable just picking mine up, because they're very food responsive. They feel the food and they're at it, they want it, and they can easily mistake the vibrations of you putting your hand in the enclosure for food. So I wouldn't say that they're the best necessarily for handleability, although plenty of people have handled theirs, but I still would count them as a beginner species for sure. So there's some great positives there. Now, also, who doesn't like a tiny little fuzzball? I mean, they're furry. They're really furry tarantulas. It's really, really cute. So there's just an overwhelming amount of positivity in keeping this species. So what are on the negative side then? Well, not a lot, really. But if I have to pick a couple of things, one would probably be coloration. They are a drab coloured spider. They are these browny grey colours with slightly lighter, slightly more blondish hairs on them. So they're not anything spectacularly striking to look at, but I still think that they're really, really cute. I still think they're beautiful animals. And I guess the only other thing might be the fact that because these guys are so cheap and easy to come by, that not a lot of people are really going to bother breeding them now, I wouldn't have thought, because they're going to put in a lot of that time, a lot of that effort, get a lot of slings to look after, and not be able to make really any money off them, and there'll be a lot of traders that probably wouldn't take them off their hands because they're so easy to come by, that you'd then be stuck with all of those slings to care for. And the last but not least negative is the fact that they are fairly slow growers. They used to be in the Brachypelma genus until they were revised and became Tliltocatl. And although mine's grown at a reasonable rate, I have had it a lot of years, so probably not really that quick. So yeah, they're not an animal that you're going to get and within 1 year you're going to have a nice big chunky tarantula from a sling. You're going to be waiting quite a while for these guys to grow. So leading on to our additional information, the part where I share anything else I can think of, and the main thing is whether I'm keeping or selling them. We briefly touched on this earlier. My original curly hair is staying with me for good. I love it. As I've told you, sentimental value. It's an awesome spider. It's got a great personality, so I can't bear to think of selling it. The gimp one, the crippled one, right now, at the time of recording this, I don't feel like I can part with it. I need to make space, and I need to be hard on myself with these animals. This is what I keep telling myself. I need to be hard on myself to make the space. But I want to continue nurturing this tarantula, and perhaps when it's looking more normal again, when its limbs are back to perfection or close to perfection, perhaps then I will decide to sell that one on. But at the time of recording this, I don't think I could do so. So sorry guys, likelihood is you will not be able to buy this awesome disabled tarantula off me at BTS show. There is a small chance that I'll be pushed to do it for the space, but main likelihood is I'm actually going to keep hold of this tarantula. So that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I've actually really enjoyed talking about these guys. It's brought back some great memories of the original one growing up. So yeah, a positive video all round. So I'm going to wrap it up there, ladies and gentlemen, and I will see you in the next one. But thanks for watching, and take care. Bye bye. If you don't have one, get a curly hair.